Interns were told one rule above all else: never draw attention to yourself. Keep quiet, stay small, don't get noticed. But on that busy Tuesday morning, right in the middle of our packed office lobby, I spotted him, an old man standing alone, his face full of quiet desperation while everyone rushed past like he was invisible. Then his hands started moving. He was using sign language and nobody around him understood a word of it. My chest tightened as I signed back. "Hi, can I help you?" His whole face shifted, relief flooding in, hope replacing fear. What I didn't realize was that the company's CEO, his own son, was watching from the floor above. That single moment was about to turn my whole life upside down. 6 months earlier, I was the kind of person nobody would remember passing on the street. I was 22, working as a marketing intern at Sterling Advertising Group, one of the biggest ad agencies in Chicago. It sounded impressive on paper. In real life, it meant babysitting a broken copy machine, running out for coffee orders that weren't even mine, and getting treated like background furniture by the senior staff. I convinced myself that staying unnoticed was the safest way to survive. Don't rock the boat, and you won't sink. But I hadn't always been this way. Back in high school, I was the one who spoke up first, who made people laugh in the hallways, who genuinely believed she was headed somewhere great. Then college happened. Rejection after rejection, clubs that turned me down, jobs I never landed, relationships that fell apart before they even started. Each disappointment wore me down bit by bit, until I became someone who walked with her shoulders caved in, who took the stairs just to dodge small talk in the elevator, who ate lunch alone at her desk instead of risking the cafeteria crowd. By graduation, the confident version of myself felt like someone I used to know. The one person who still made me feel like I mattered was my younger brother, Eli. He was 8 years old, deaf since birth, and the most stubborn, hilarious kid I'd ever met. Our parents adored him, but learning to communicate with him felt like learning a foreign language they never quite mastered. I didn't struggle the same way. I dove in head first, staying up late practicing the alphabet in front of my laptop screen, spending weekends at the community center signing with volunteers, watching the same tutorial videos over and over until my eyes burned. By the time I started at Sterling, I was completely fluent. It was the one thing I was genuinely proud of, even if it felt pointless in a place that only cared about closed deals and won accounts. Sterling's office looked ripped straight from a movie set. Glass walls, gleaming floors, employees moving around like they were running on a timer nobody else could see. The lobby never stopped buzzing with people in sharp suits, flashing badges, racing to their next meeting. Everything about that place radiated speed and importance. And then there was me, just another intern assigned to a supervisor who barely glanced up from her phone long enough to learn my name. That particular October morning started out exactly like every other one. Tight deadlines, people sprinting across the lobby, my phone buzzing nonstop with messages from my supervisor, Denise. I was near the front desk, stacking glossy folders and trying not to drop the pile when I noticed him. An older gentleman, silver hair, sharp navy suit, standing slightly apart from the crowd. His eyes darted around the reception desk, and his mouth moved with words nobody could hear. The receptionist, clearly overwhelmed, waved him off to deal with someone else. I stood frozen for a second, folders pressed against my chest. It wasn't my place to step in. I was supposed to stay out of the way. But watching his shoulders sag with defeat, something in me refused to stay still. That was the moment everything started to change. I kept repeating to myself that I shouldn't get involved. Denise's voice echoed in my head, telling me to focus on presentation prep. not to wander off, not to waste a single second. But I couldn't tear my eyes away from him. He wasn't just confused, he was invisible to everyone except me. I recognized that look instantly because I'd watched it cross my brother's face more times than I could count. The receptionist sighed in frustration and turned her back on him completely. He stood there gripping his briefcase strap, his lips moving with words no one would ever hear. Then I noticed his fingers, hesitant but purposeful, shaping letters in the air. He was signing. My throat closed up. All around him, people in expensive shoes and tailored blazers rushed past, too consumed with their own schedules to notice. I thought about how much Eli hated crowded spaces because they made him feel small and forgotten. My heart raced. I couldn't just watch anymore. I set the folders down and walked toward him. My hands were shaking, my pulse pounding in my ears. When our eyes met, I saw the same exhausted resignation I'd seen in my brother's eyes, countless times. I raised my hands and signed, "Hi, I'm Maya. Can I help you?" It was like watching someone finally come up for air after being underwater far too long. His entire face transformed, relief and gratitude washing over him. He signed back with practiced ease. "You know sign language. Thank goodness. I didn't think anyone here would understand me." Silent words passed between us. "I'm here to see my son," he explained. "I don't have an appointment." Something in his hesitation told me this visit meant more than it seemed. "What's your son's name?" I asked. Michael Sterling." The name hit me like a punch to the chest. Michael Sterling wasn't just some employee. He was the CEO, his name carved into the glass wall of the lobby, his office sitting at the very top of the building. Around the office, people spoke of him like a legend, rarely seen but always felt. "You're Mr. Sterling's father," I signed, keeping my expression steady. "Yes," he nodded softly. "I know he's busy, but I wanted to see him." His eyes carried both pride and something heavier, doubt, longing. I told him I'd try to come. I led him to the seating area and told him to wait while I called upstairs. My fingers trembled as I dialed the executive assistant, Carol. Her sharp voice answered right away. "This is Carol, Mr. Sterling's office." "Hi, Carol, this is Maya from the intern program. There's a man in the lobby who says he's Mr. Sterling's father." A pause, then a longer one. "His father?" "Yes, ma'am. Older gentleman, very well dressed. He's been waiting." Silence, then a clipped response. "Have him wait. I'll check with Mr. Sterling." I hung up, walked back, and forced a reassuring smile. "They're checking now. Please, make yourself comfortable." The minutes crawled by, 10, then 15. Robert, as he introduced himself, never once complained. Instead, he told me about his life through sign language, how he used to work as an architect, how his late wife had taught at a school for deaf children, how raising a hearing son had brought him both pride and heartbreak. I listened, translating whenever curious employees wandered close, my hands moving almost on autopilot. But anxiety gnawed at me the entire time. Denise's texts kept lighting up my screen, demanding updates on the folders, on the prep work. I ignored every single one. What I didn't know was that someone else wasn't ignoring me at all. From the balcony above, hidden behind a support column, Michael Sterling himself was watching his father open up to me, watching me abandon every task I'd been assigned, watching the very attention I'd spent my whole life avoiding land directly on me. And in that instant, the wall of invisibility I'd built around myself for years started to crumble. The longer I sat with Robert, the more I forgot about the storm waiting for me back at my desk. We wandered from floor to floor, an unplanned tour filling the hour Carol had promised. I showed him sketches from the design team, framed campaigns lining the hallways, even the break room with its stale coffee smell and half-empty vending machine. His eyes lit up at everything, curious and delighted. And even though I knew I was breaking every rule in the intern handbook, I couldn't make myself stop. My phone kept buzzing in my pocket, one message after another. Maya, where are the folders? Maya, clients arrive in 30 minutes. Maya, get back to the prep room now. Each notification twisted my stomach tighter, but all I could focus on was Robert's face, the quiet joy radiating from him as he walked through his son's world. Eventually, time ran out. When we made our way back to the lobby, Robert thanked me again and again, his hands moving with graceful sincerity. "You made me feel seen today," he signed, "like I actually belong here." That's when I saw Denise storming toward me, her heels striking the marble floor like gunfire. Her face was tight with barely controlled fury. "Maya," she snapped, "I need to talk to you right now. Do you have any idea how long you've been gone? Do you understand what you've risked with this presentation?" My throat tightened. Robert glanced between us, confused, his smile fading. I lifted my hands, ready to sign something reassuring, but Denise stepped closer and lowered her voice into something venomous. "You're an intern. Your job is making copies, not entertaining guests. When this gets reported, don't expect me to defend you." Her words stung, and she wasn't wrong. I had ditched every task I was supposed to handle. But the shame didn't crush me the way it usually would have, because looking at Robert's tired, grateful face, all I felt was certainty that what I'd done mattered more than any stack of folders ever could. Still, disaster felt inevitable. Denise's hand clamped around my arm like she owned me. "Come with me," she ordered. Then a calm, deep voice cut through the noise of the lobby. "Actually, Denise, I need to speak with Miss Carter first." Everything stopped. My head whipped toward the voice, and there he was, Michael Sterling, the CEO, himself, standing less than 10 feet away, his eyes locked on mine, unreadable. Robert's hands trembled as he signed my name, his gaze shining with something new, hope. And in that single second, the balance of power shifted completely. The entire lobby seemed to hold its breath. People froze mid-step. Conversations died out. Even the constant hum of printers and elevator chimes seemed to fade into silence. Michael Sterling never appeared down here. His world existed behind closed office doors and boardroom tables, not on the marble floor where interns got scolded. Yet there he stood, composed and steady, his focus fixed not on Denise, not on the scattered folders, but entirely on me. Denise's grip on my arm loosened as she stammered, "Mr. Sterling, she was helping my father," he said, his tone calm but final. "And from what I saw, she did it perfectly." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Heads turned toward Robert, who straightened in his seat, silver hair catching the light, his eyes glistening with tears he made no effort to hide. Denise opened her mouth, then closed it again, speechless. I stood frozen, heat rushing through my chest, unsure whether this was rescue or the beginning of the end for me. Michael crossed the floor with slow, deliberate steps until he stood right in front of us. He crouched down to meet his father's eyes. Then, to my complete shock, he lifted his hands, awkward at first, unsure, but unmistakably clear. He was signing. "Dad, I'm sorry I made you wait." Robert's lips parted in disbelief. His own hands rose, trembling but quick. "You've been learning?" Michael nodded. "Trying. I should have started years ago. I didn't even know you were here until I saw you with Maya." He glanced at me briefly before turning back to his father. "I haven't seen you smile like that in a long time." The scene felt almost surreal. The CEO of Sterling Advertising, the man employees spoke about in hushed, reverent tones, fumbling through sign language in the middle of a crowded lobby, his voice cracking, his usual composure completely stripped away. Robert's shoulders shook as he signed back. "I thought you'd forgotten how to see me." "I never forgot," Michael said out loud, his voice thick with emotion, before signing again, more carefully this time. "I was wrong. I let distance grow between us. I thought being strong meant shutting you out." Tears blurred my vision. Around us, employees stood silent, watching the head of an entire company dissolve into a son begging for forgiveness. Robert reached out and touched Michael's arm with a gentleness that quieted every whisper in the room. Then, right there in front of everyone, father and son embraced. The hug lasted only a moment, but it cracked something open in the air around us. When they finally pulled apart, Michael turned to face me. "Miss Carter, would you come upstairs with us?" His tone left no room for refusal, yet his eyes looked soft, like he was asking rather than commanding. Denise tried to recover. "Sir, with all due respect, she abandoned—" "That's enough, Denise," Michael cut her off sharply. "We'll talk later." The elevator ride to the top floor felt unreal. I stood beside Robert, who squeezed my hand like a silent thank you, while Michael's silence pressed heavier than any words could. When the doors opened, his office stretched out before me, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Chicago's skyline, polished wood gleaming under soft lighting, every detail screaming success. Yet somehow it felt cold, almost hollow, like no one truly lived there. "Please, sit," Michael said, gesturing to the chairs. He didn't take his seat behind the massive desk. Instead, he sat beside his father, putting himself on equal footing with us. I perched nervously on the edge of my chair, my heart racing. Words spilled out before I could stop them. "Mr. Sterling, I'm so sorry. I know I was supposed to—" He raised a hand to stop me. "You did exactly what I wish more of my employees would do. You made my father feel welcome." His gaze shifted to Robert, then back to me, something I failed to do myself. Robert signed something quickly, his hands moving in a blur. Michael translated aloud, his voice catching. "He says you remind him of my mother, that you make people feel seen." I bit my lip, overwhelmed. "I just did what I'd want someone to do for my little brother. He's deaf too. I know how much it hurts when people look right through you." Michael leaned forward, studying me like I'd just handed him a missing piece of some puzzle he'd been chasing for years. "That's exactly why I asked you up here. What you did today showed me everything that's missing from this company." I blinked. "Missing?" "We talk about inclusion," he said, his tone almost bitter. "It's in our brochures, our mission statement, our website, but we don't actually live it. Today I watched a 22-year-old intern show more leadership and more humanity than entire departments have shown in years." I opened my mouth, then shut it again. My mind screamed that he was exaggerating, being polite, but his expression said otherwise. "I want to change that," Michael continued, "and I want you to help me." The room seemed to tilt. "Me? I'm creating a brand new position," he said. "Director of Accessibility and Inclusion. You'd build programs, train staff, make sure this company doesn't just talk about these values but actually lives them. You'd report directly to me." My pulse thundered in my ears. "Mr. Sterling, I'm just an intern. I don't have experience. I don't even—" I trailed off, embarrassed by how small my voice sounded. "You have empathy," he interrupted firmly, "and courage. You saw someone everyone else ignored, and you chose to act. That's leadership." Robert squeezed my hand again, nodding eagerly, his eyes practically begging me to see what they both already saw. I sat back, dizzy. An hour earlier, I'd been terrified of getting fired. Now the CEO was offering me a seat at his table. My lips parted, but all that came out was, "I need some time to think." Michael smiled faintly. "Take the weekend. But know this company needs someone like you. I need someone like you." Everything after that blurred together. Salary details, benefits, responsibilities, barely registering through the fog in my mind. When I finally left his office, Robert wrapped me in a hug so tight it knocked the breath out of me. "You gave me my son back," he signed, tears streaming down his face. "And you gave him something he didn't even realize he was missing." The elevator doors closed on Michael watching us leave, his expression unreadable, but softer than I'd ever seen it before. That night, I video called Eli. His face lit up the moment I signed the news. "You're going to help other deaf people at your job?" he asked, bouncing excitedly in his seat. "That's amazing, Maya. You're like a superhero for people like me." For the first time in years, I actually believed him. By Monday morning, my decision was made. I walked into Michael's office with shaking hands but a steady voice. "Yes," I told him, "I'll take the job." That day changed everything. The title sounded impressive, Director of Accessibility and Inclusion, but the day-to-day reality meant hard, relentless work. My first task was auditing the entire building, its policies, its culture, its blind spots. What I found matched exactly what Michael had suspected all along. Good intentions buried under years of neglect. Fire alarms with no visual alerts. Company meetings held without a single interpreter. Marketing materials designed without any thought for accessibility. I tore it all down and rebuilt it piece by piece, slowly and stubbornly. We installed visual alert systems throughout the building. We brought in certified interpreters for every meeting and company event. We redesigned client presentations to meet accessibility standards. We launched lunchtime sign language classes that filled up faster than I ever expected. The biggest surprise of all was Denise. The same supervisor who once scolded me for wasting company time became one of the most dedicated students in our program. After one training session, she pulled me aside and admitted, "I was so focused on deadlines, I forgot about people. I won't make that mistake again." 6 months later, Sterling Advertising won a national award for workplace inclusion. Michael handed me the plaque, but insisted I be the one to accept it on stage. My voice trembled, but my words came out strong and clear. Inclusion isn't a policy. It's people. It's choosing to see someone everyone else overlooks. That's what changes everything. In the front row, Robert signed applause, his face glowing with pride. Beside him, Michael smiled like a son who had finally found his way home, and for the first time in a long time, I felt truly seen too. Looking back now, I understand something I'd missed for years. It was never about job titles, corner offices, or the constant race to prove myself. It was always about people, my brother, my mentor, even a stranger in a lobby who simply needed someone to notice him. Family isn't only about blood. It's about loyalty, compassion, and having the courage to act when everyone else looks away. If this story moved you the way it moved me, drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because the next story I share could be yours.